Everyone. This time, I will shares with you a sci-fi movie. 2067, due to nuclear war, industrial pollution and innocent human deforestation. One day in the future the Earth will not be able to bear it. The original oxygen content decreased from 21% to 3.3%. Oxygen-dependent flora and fauna are gradually becoming extinct. Even human beings cannot avoid this life. Most people die from a lack of oxygen. The lucky small part that survived had to rely on an oxygen company. Synthetic oxygen to maintain human life. But this oxygen is not free. Want to live, have to pay to buy oxygen. The protagonist White and his best friend Judy are both electrical maintenance workers at the oxygen company. After work, he gave his wife a brand new oxygen mask. But before she was happy, she vomited blood. It turned out that his wife had been inhaling industrial synthetic oxygen which led to elimination in the body. Now the only way to reduce the illness is to buy expensive high-quality oxygen. Yes, the synthetic oxygen supplied by the oxygen company is also divided into several categories. Primary oxygen type. Despite its affordable price, it contains a lot of impurities. After a long time of using, the human body will eliminate itself. Using a long time still dangerous to life. So White worked hard to make money. It is to be able to buy the best oxygen for his wife. But this is not a long-term solution. That day, White and Judy were called by Regina, CEO of the company. She told White, although now humans have synthetic oxygen so that they can sustain life, but the body's elimination of synthetic oxygen is getting worse. If this continues, the synthetic oxygen will soon lose its effect. Then everyone will die. To find an antidote that can cure the body's oxygen excretion, as the top urgent task. After saying that, she took White to the control center. Inside there is a time machine. This time machine was invented by White's father. He is a great quantum physics scientist. On the 8th birthday of the sun, his father gave him a bracelet that couldn't be removed for a lifetime. It was sticking to the point of bleeding on the hand. Father did not explain the effect of this bracelet, but he told him, one day in the future he will understand his suffering. White's mother, uneasy, after his father left, phoned him. He made an appointment with his mother at one location. When he meets White, his father will tell the whole story about the bracelet he is wearing. But on the way, his mother was robbed by gangsters. To protect him, his mother sacrificed. He was saved by a passerby named Judy. After that, his father also disappeared without a trace. So Judy lives with White. The two became good brothers. Talk about this time machine again. For the past 20 years, the company has been searching for an antidote to oxygen elimination by the body. They try to use a time machine to send a series of codes for help to the future. The result is on this date 2067. The time machine sent back a hand-translated text 400 years later. This futuristic sequence of code has only a few words in its content. Communicating to Ethan White, no one understood why the other party wanted to name White, but at least it could explain 400 years later that people are still alive. They have found a way to deal with the elimination of oxygen by the human body. So Regina hopes White can travel through 400 years later, get the antidote to save his wife and humanity. But White refused. First, because of the time machine control. Current technology is not really stable. The probability is for sure that a go does not return. He mustn't want to leave his wife behind. She is sick, but after his wife knew about this, he encouraged him to go. As a teacher, she witnessed her students, because the synthetic oxygen body eventually suffocated. So, no matter who it is, White should go. Judy also persuaded White to try it. White also knew very well, no matter how good synthetic oxygen can only reduce the wife's illness. White finally agreed to this journey through time. Regina Control Center had prepared 2 sets of protective clothing. She told White each time she turned on the time machine. It takes a lot of energy, so the opportunities are limited. It is best to go through once until 400 years later to bring the antidote back. Finally she handed him a smartphone. Mobile phones can navigate and control the system. It is also possible to use a time machine to transmit signals to the control center of White's vital sign. White tells Judy if he can't come back, ask Judy to take care of his wife instead. After saying that, immediately entered the time machine. After that was the continuous shaking, falling from the air to the ground. Thanks to protective clothing, he was not injured. Traveled to 400 years later. White caught the eye was a lush forest. And there's also natural fresh air that he's never been able to breathe. After regaining consciousness, he immediately contacted the control center. But no response. intended to use cell phones to guide the way, but there is also no satellite signal. Finally, he used the new Earth's magnetic field to discover a nearby base. Go to the base gate. He saw a set of skulls hit by bullets. He checked the name tags of the dead. Above is his name. He is very scared. But then he held back his fear. Find items on dead people. Discovered on the dry skeleton. Also a smartphone and bracelet that only he has. Put the necklace on the skeleton, glows a different green color from his. But watch out for this shot corpse. 10 parts up to 8 and 9 parts are the white of the past. To find out why he was killed. He activates the phone on the dead person. But the phone screen is broken. The battery is also very low. He could only hear one interrupting recording. He himself is arguing with a man. Finally shot dead by that man. Night fell. He picked a bunch of wild fruit to eat to help hunger. But at midnight, he vomited gagging. Surely the wild fruit bunches are poisonous. He saw a bright spot in the sky. Then passed out knowing nothing. When he woke up, White saw Judy standing in front of him. White's vital signs were transmitted to the control center. It shows that he was seriously poisoned and was dangerous to his life. To save his close brother. He has defied the danger of bringing the antidote all the time and thus saved White's life. White then took Judy to see the skeleton. But Judy did not believe that the dead man was White. He also advised White not to think too much. The most important task right now is to find a cure. The 2 cell phones then found another way into the base. White auto recognition port opens. After entering, he saw a computer in standby mode. He pressed the enter button. And the bracelet began to initiate White's DNA verification. Once passed, the electricity in the room returned to normal. So this is the control center of 400 years later. And White's bracelet is the only key to starting the time machine. The portal suggestion system will open in 4 hours. They will then be brought back to 2067. But White felt something was wrong. 400 years later, the Earth is back to normal. So where did the survivors go? And also his bracelet changed from red light to green light. This is the same as on a skeleton. So he wants to know the cause and effect. Immediately opened the system log. Found his father's picture. That year his father used scientific methods deduced. Around 2467 the ecosystem of the Earth would return to normal. So he invented the time machine. And the wireless wave was born in 2467. The results are obtained. Actually the words convey Ethan White, but the screen came here then stopped. Because the power supply reactor had a problem. If not promptly handled. 4 hours later, not only will the portal fail to activate, but there will be a massive nuclear explosion. So the 2 rushed to find the underground nuclear reactor in the city center. But unexpectedly, the city after 400 years has turned into a pile of rubble. There are many sets of remains lying on the ground. Apparently these people died of lack of oxygen. White later found his wife's bones. At the moment his head was empty. No matter how hard he tried to save the Earth. In the end, it didn't help at all. Judy advised him not to be too sad. Perhaps this is the best choice for everyone. But after White heard this statement, even more, cannot calm down. Remember when I heard it on the old phone? A conversation between him and a mysterious man. And what Judy said, it was the same content in it. In other words, it was Judy who shot him. Judy doesn't believe it. In a panic, he hastily pulled out his gun. Then there is no need to argue anymore. Even guns already exist. At this point, Judy could not deny it. But after calming down, Judy still feels that the most important thing, for the time being, is still dealing with the nuclear reactor. After going underground, both found this problem quite complicated to be fixed in the decompression environment. So White took the moment when Judy was not paying attention to herself, entering the decompression room. With him now, anyway, he would rather kill himself than die in the arms of his brother. But Judy doesn't think so. After the problem is finished, he broke through the door and saved White. Then the 2 returned to the control center. At this point, it was only 37 minutes until the information transmission door would open. White looked around to find another door in the control center. After opening it, it is the place where his remains were found. At this time, the skeleton is still there. This means that the fate of being shot and killed remains unchanged. So White wants to continue to investigate, but Judy disagrees. 2 people also have arguments. White locked Judy and went on to open the photo diary left by his father for him. At this time, as a young Regina-led Judy appeared on the screen. She thought that the Earth became like that. All are the evil consequences that humans have sowed themselves. So let the Earth restore the previous life. The only way is to make it die and then come back to life. She wants to wipe out all human beings, give the Earth a chance to rest, so she sent a handful of carefully selected people directly onto the time machine, traveled 400 years later, rebuilding human civilization there. White's father disagreed. He guessed that Regina would have these frightening thoughts, so he locked the time machine. The only one who can unlock it is White's DNA. She knew, so she killed him. At the same time, the staging killed White's mother, then let Judy take the chance to save someone approaching White, protect and restrain him. White could travel into the future to open the portal. At this point, Judy rushed in, but White has discovered all these secrets already. According to the usual plot, Judy will kill White, then open the portal for Regina to pass through. But Judy didn't. He actually saw White as his little brother. So, in the end, Judy chose to commit suicide, leaving White's chance to live. In 2067 on this side, the portal is about to enter the countdown state. But just as it was about to begin, White sent a message 400 years ago. He wants to save Judy. Then White also gave Regina a great gift from the future. There are hundreds of species of plants that have long since gone extinct. And the video she shot White's father that year. And a flower for his wife. White later ruined the time machine. Next, he went to the cliff. At this time, appearing in his eyes was no longer an old wall. It turned out that the trees he sent have successfully saved the Earth, saved everyone. So the human race survived. So 400 years later this beautiful city exists. Okay, the movie ends here. See you next time. Bye bye.